Our first case study tonight is Wesley. So tell us a little bit, Wesley, on what you do for a living and how you found out about lifestyles.
So I'm basically retired now, but I'm full-time dad, 4 kids. And back in 2009 when I joined, the company that I worked for, I was a sales rep, covered 5 states, decided to go bankrupt. And so I tried to start my own business, and my 401k went to a 201k, like most people's during that time. And I was like, I'm not making enough money. I got to figure out how to do something different. So I took my 201k and invested the whole $32,000 in my first house.
Well, before we get to that, though, how did you find out about lifestyles? And
so I was, driving around and heard the ad on the radio and was interested. So that's how I found out.
So you heard Dell on the radio, and then you actually took your first house, right? And you turned that into a rental?
Well, actually, we got interested in it because we took a job in Lubbock, and we rented our house here in Dallas, and we rented in Lubbock. And so we were like, well, that worked out pretty good. We're good renters, and we hired good renters, and so I need to find out more about this.
How to do it the right way, right?
Yeah, and fortunately, I found lifestyles. I really feel fortunate that I found lifestyles first.
Right. Okay. So actually used one of our agents, actually found you a property, Laura. You want to talk a little bit about that process, how they found the property for you?
Right. Yeah. So I probably looked really hard on my own for like 3 months, and this property came to me through Lifestyles, and I just jumped on it immediately, because it profiled really good, and we bought it in January, and it's completely rehabbed. I'm going to market it tomorrow.
Terrific. So you've already had 3 actually under your belt.
Right.
And actually the previous one was also found for Lifestyles, and that's what Dave's going to teach you folks this weekend as well, is you have agents here going out there finding the properties for you. So this was one, again, you rehabbed it, and you're getting ready to put it on the market now, right?
Right, that's correct.
So let's actually take a look at your portfolio here. So you're doing very well. You got 4 properties now, and who would like to make an extra $1,800 a month? Right?
One guy.
That's, $22,000. Yeah, give him a hand. That's he just gave himself $22,000 raise, which, is about $50,000 in the real world, because he's not paying taxes or have Social Security on those numbers, are you?
Right.
All right. So talk a little bit about how you changed your life, and if you want to, you can see the screen there.
Yeah, so it's definitely enabled me to spend more family time. My wife does work full time, so it's enabled me to be a full-time dad and spend a lot more time with my family. And we've taken some nice vacations, and that it's kind of opened that door for us. So.
And that's what financial freedom's all about, folks, is giving you time. As Dave was mentioning, you're not having to spend hours at work and that. You can spend time with your family. So what's next?
So for us, we'd like to acquire more single family. We'd like to get up to 7 or 8. That was the original goal, and we got off track there a little bit and got back on track, and so we'd like to get that goal accomplished first.
Sounds like you like traveling a little bit. So you like the job of carrying the luggage for your wife?
Yeah. Yeah, it's eventually the plan is to completely retire her, and
obviously one is at Disney World here with your family. Yeah. What beach were you at there with the kids?
That was down in Port Aransas.
Nice. Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah.
All right, so of course you didn't do this on your own, and again, joining the Lifestyles program, you can utilize our lifestyle vendors who know how this process works for you. So any shout outs to any of the folks there? You used Capital Concepts as your lender, Finishing Touches was your GC.
Yeah. Yeah, Kerry Donham is great to work with over at Capital Concepts. He's done all of our deals for us. And Finishing Touches, I can't say enough for them. They did a great job, and especially going through COVID right now. I mean, with supply chain disruption, those guys have really done a good job, because it's not been easy to remodel stuff right now. But they've made it easy. Yeah.
Well, you got yourself a great portfolio now, Wes. Any questions? We'll take a couple questions right now if anyone has any. We got one over here. Yeah.
Here, let me get a microphone. I'm going to run around the room. Is that cool?
Yeah, play Phil Donahue there.
Hello.
Hi, my name's Melissa. We're new Lifestyles members. And my biggest question is, so lumber costs have about quadrupled in the last year.
Right.
My question is, with finishing touches, how have you battled that? Have you been able to have contractors that have given you estimates, and have they said, oh, actually it's this much money now, mid rehab? That's my biggest question.
Great question, Melissa.
Yes, so that's true. There was a few little price increases that we had on product, and I just totally understood that. I just said yes. I just approved it, and don't stop working, right?
Yeah, Melissa, that's a great question. So the number's going to tell a story for us, right? If the deal no longer works, what do? We get out of the deal. We have an option period to protect ourselves. So did that affect us for a little bit? Yeah, but guess what? Are we over that hump now? Who heard that lumber futures dropped 50% this month? It is on a downward trend. So that was a concern probably 2-3 months ago, but we're on the trailing end of it. Now, even though it dropped 50% 1 month, it'll probably take another month for that to clear up because futures are about a month leader, but it is a valid point, Melissa. Okay?
And when you can borrow the money from your hard money lender,
Yep.
which is what Dave's going to teach you this weekend, hey, again, it's all a numbers game. And again, that's what you're going to learn this weekend as well. Any other, we got a question right up front here.
So, big concern.
Hold on. I got to run up here.
Internet. So, a big concern for a lot of people is how long does it take to fill a house these days? So, you mentioned you're getting ready to list your house for rent.
Right.
How are you going to go about that, and how long do you think it'll take in this market?
I've never had any problem. I actually, had a house come open in the middle of COVID and leased it. I just do most of that online, through Craigslist, and there's rentpro.com that I use. It's a Lifestyles member that runs that, and some other ones. I just, get out aggressively market it. But a sign in the yard does a lot, and some bandit signs around the neighborhood. I never have trouble. I always have people lining up. Best product, best price.
Yeah, and what you're going to find out when I teach a seminar, guys, if you're new, you should have the first rent check and a deposit before you're ever even done with the rehab. Because when is your first payment due on a mortgage? 45 to 60 days later. So you should have that before you're even finished, if you follow the map that Dell taught me that I taught you. Now I'm going to give you a really hard question, Wesley. You ready?
Ready.
The founder of our company, the legendary Dell Walmsley, has a question for you.
Okay.
I see it up there in the chat, so I'm going to read it.
All right.
He says, what's your long-term goals? What do you see in the future, Wesley? What do you see down the road? I mean, you're already making like 20 grand a year. That's pretty awesome. What's your long-term goal?
My long-term goal, I'd like to, to double my money.
Okay.
And I think maybe in the next 8 years.
Double your whole entire net worth kind of
Yeah.
thing? Okay.
Yeah. We actually just did our will a few weeks ago, and we were
Your
kinda
wife happens to be a
surprised.
lawyer, huh? Yeah. Kind of makes sense.
We were surprised at our net worth.
There you go.
She
Isn't
was
that cool?
shocked. She was shocked.
Yeah.
At our net worth.
Yeah, we actually showed that earlier, how you had mentioned how
Get
your
all that
net
extra
worth
equity,
has
yeah.
really grown.
Really shot up. Yeah, I mean, when I started with Lifestyles, in 2009, I had no money. I put my membership, I think it was like $500 to join. I put
Yeah.
a credit card, and I didn't tell my wife.
You just didn't have money yet. You had to build up.
Yeah, and I used my IRA to
Okay.
buy my first house.
Okay.
I sold it, and I bought the first house. And Blake, I couldn't even do his whole rehab. I only could do $7,000 on the first house rehab. So I just rehabbed like the most important stuff, and then I put a renter in it. And I was.
And you still made money.
Yeah, and I made money. I like cash flowed like maybe $250 or $300
Okay.
a month.
There you go.
But I was scared to death,
Okay.
and it worked. And then did the next one with Carrie and used hard money, and
Okay.
found out that was a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Other people's money.
That's why we teach that.
I don't know why people would call it hard money, because it's easy money, right?
And folks, if you're new, I'm going to explain what hard money is. Just so you know in basic English, I'll break it down this weekend. A hard money lender is a specialized lender that's going to lend you all the money to buy the property, plus give you all the money to fix it up as well, just so you know. It's so we can make it less cash out of pocket to buy these properties. Okay? You got another question over there? Yeah. Here we go.
Oh,
It's okay, Ken.
So, how much time every month do you spend managing your properties?
That is a great question, Ken.
That is a good question. Very little, especially once it's rented. when you rent it correctly, I only visit my properties once every 6 months. My wife has never been to our properties. She's never been there. So it's just a matter of that little bit of time of collecting that money, which I don't mind, and putting it in the bank.
So best product, best price. Again, that's what Dave's going to teach you this weekend, folks. You fix everything up front, you're not going to get those phone calls, those toilets, and things that you're concerned about, right? Because you fixed it up front, and that's going to eliminate those phone calls.
And you know what's even cooler about him? How he's going to, I know he sits there and says like 8 years down the road or whatever. The first money is the hard one, that little 25 or 50K. But you realize every time you double the velocity of money, how much better it is? 100K turns into 200K. But 200 turns to 400, and 400 turns to 800, 800 turns to 1.6 million. So do you think really, when you do the real math, how much quicker you're going to go?
I could go quicker, yeah.
You will go quicker.
Can't get
If you
rich,
listen to us.
can't get rich slow, right, Dave?
Let me get another question out here quick.
All right, one more we'll take.
Yeah, one more. Here we got Ben. Ben looks like he's 40. How old are you, Ben?
I'm 23.
23. Ask your question, Ben.
How often did you meet with your mentor at the very beginning, and how often do you meet with your mentor now?
That's a good question. When I joined with the basic membership.
Yep,
I think back then it was
FFP.
called FFP.
Yep.
Yeah. And so my mentors were up here. I came to meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting right at the very beginning. That's a good question. And that's how I learned. I learned in
Yep.
these meetings. I took copious notes. I knew I was investing my total in retirement that I had saved up. And, that's the way I was mentored.
And speaking as a mentor, there's no dumb questions, folks. You have unlimited access to us.
Yep.
And we do find, yes, the first couple houses, we're getting calls a lot or get a lot of emails, a lot of questions. And we want that because we are educating you. But then all of a sudden, gee, we haven't heard from this person for a while. And we go to a case study and all of a sudden, yeah, I got 10 houses now, Rick. Holy cow. So it's just like anything, just like learn to ride a bicycle, and when you have the map on how to do it, you can't go wrong, right? Dave actually makes you write in the back of the book, I will not do what Dave says.
Yep.
So if you follow what Dave teaches, you can't go wrong in this program.
Well, let's give him a hand, man. That was awesome.
Give him a
Thank
hand.
you. Thank you for sharing your story.